Hello everyone. My talk is about the 2011 East Japan earthquake, Tohoku earthquake. Today's talk is fault tectonic analysis of aftershock of the 2011 Tohoku earthquake, East Japan earthquake. Main shock and aftershocks. Aftershocks are usually found offshore area. So many focal mechanism data were reconstructed, but they are wholly on-land data. This is a somewhat obstacle to figure out what happened during the 2011 Tohoku earthquake, but we tried to analyze the focal mechanism data by tools of the fault tectonic analysis of focal mechanism data should be converted into the fault slip data. We tried to analyze the focal mechanism data. For this, we classify the data depending on the clusters and the depth, focal depths. At A, crust A, lower part NNWSSE compression, but the deeper part nearly EW compression. The stress is changing from shallow part to the deeper part. This area corresponding to the subducting oceanic crust, shallow area, continental crust. As I said, here shallow part and NWSE compression, but nearly EW compression in deeper part. The crust J here, at the shallow crust NWSE compression, but deeper crust WNW compression. In the other cluster, similar aspect is found. In the shallow NWSE compression, deeper part nearly EW compression. Near the Tokyo, Chiba, NNWSSE compression in the shallow part, EW compression in the deeper part. This figure shows determine the sensors. So the red one is EW compression, pink one shows NWSE compressions. So there are three types of compressions. Technically, NWSE compression might be related to the Pacific tectonic domain, and largely EW compression is related to the Himalayan tectonic domain. Near the Fukushima area, or swarm earthquakes of normal faulting types are free-bearing, discriminating the focal mechanism data, depending on clusters and depth. We determined the stress tensor and more circles, more diagrams. Determination of friction line is very useful because it starts from zero, so we can determine the ratio between sigma 3, sigma 2, sigma 1. Normal faulting type, sigma 1 corresponding to the vertical load, so we can determine the sigma 1, so we can easily determine the real stress magnitudes. So we try to determine the friction line, and at the same time we try to determine the Poisson ratio using the friction rise. Here sigma 1, sigma 2. Sigma 2 is the function of Poisson ratio. So in A crust we determined Poisson ratio as 0.26. C crust here Poisson ratio was calculated as 0.27. D cluster Poisson ratio is 0.225. Average Poisson ratio can be determined as 0.2726. In order to determine the stress magnitude, especially additional horizontal stress, we try to determine the friction rise to the strike slip or reverse faulting type populations. For this, brittle criteria can be applied to shallow crust. So we utilized fault populations of shallow depths. Here, 3 solutions are resulted. (46, 122, 286 megapascals). An adjustment is needed because natural pore pressure should be considered. By trial and error, we can determine the natural pore pressure, which makes Poisson ratio 0.225. Using determine the natural pore pressure, we can adjust the stress. The resulting additional horizontal stress is modified like this. Using additional horizontal stresses, we try to show how the stress distributed vertically. Around the main shock day, maximum additional horizontal stress was exerting at the depths from 3 to 8 kilometer depths. Thank you for your attention.